I said, go New York, go New York.
Let's pop it. Let's pop it. Let's pop it. Let's pop it. Welcome to another episode of Save the Data special episode.
Hey,
The Knicks are NBA champions.
world champs.
World champs. World
Yes.
champs.
Forget about what Noah Lyles be saying, talking about some, and NBA players are not world champs of anything. They're the champs in the U.S. I don't forget about all of that.
Yeah,
Noah Lyles,
we give it.
We don't need you to be over there. World
Guys,
champs.
This is nothing short of amazing. 53 years in the making.
Mm-hmm.
And people are excited, not just in New York City, not just in the nation, but in the entire world.
Facts.
And the Knicks championship means so much to us as children who grew up and remembered the finger roll from Patrick Ewing, who remembered the beating the Spurs gave us in 99, and the struggles that happened all throughout the mid-90s with the amazing talent Oakley, Ewing, John Starks, Allen Houston, going on Latrell Sprewell, Starbury, obviously Melo.
Amari.
Stoudemire.
Yeah, we had Linsanity for us. I mean, bro.
Yeah, Linsanity. Loved the Linsanity. That was actually a boon for the Knicks. A lot of people didn't realize it at the time. I think looking back, we remember how much the Linsanity movement moved us. Shout out to Jeremy Lin. Shout out to everyone who's ever been a Knick. And with that said, we've seen also what this Knick championship means for dating and the dating world, and also for what our concepts of masculinity mean as it impacts and relates to women dating, and some of the online roiling that's been happening over the last few years since the pandemic of men, and where have the real men gone. We're going to address all that in this episode. Special dedication to the Knicks, and also special dedication to New York City, the city that Jay and I are from.
Concrete jungles where dreams are made of.
There's
nothing you can't do.
Yeah, exactly. It'll inspire
you. Can't do.
Yeah. People have been playing New York. Even Mayor Mamdani's been playing the Ja Rule, Jadakiss, Fat Joe song. But the song I've been playing is New York Shit by Busta Rhymes, one of my favorite New York songs.
Mm-hmm.
And you could say, what song from the 90s isn't a New York song?
New York, big city. Well,
yeah, well, that was them trashing us. That was them trashing us. Kicking over the buildings.
On Eclipse. Yeah, I'm from New York. That's a good one.
But I love that. I'm on my New York shit.
Yeah.
Back on my New York shit.
Yeah. What was Fat Joe on the remix of that?
Can't remember.
I think he was on the remix of that. Or maybe it was Remy Ma. One of them.
Yeah. Shout out to Remy Ma, because she did the New York Knicks song. Let's take it from the top and really get into this first one is more of a slide. We're going to read something from it. A guy met by Nick, who I believe is a relationship coach. And let me just cue it up for you guys. You can see. So what the Knicks championship means for NYC singles. New York hasn't felt like this in years. We've known that 53 years. The city's waited a long time. This is the most united I've ever seen New York, which I agree with. I wasn't here for 9/11. I was away at college, but I saw that in 9/11 and then a little bit in the beginning of the pandemic. And he's talking about he's a matchmaker, and I've connected with him on LinkedIn. He's a great guy. I'll reconnect with him. He's been doing a lot more work now on Instagram. And he's right, the best time to meet someone is now, which we've said on our TikTok. If you haven't checked our TikTok, Save the Date Now, @SaveTheDateNow. And what we've talked about, rooftops, parks, bars, everyone's open, talking about a game, talking about how the city feels re-energized. People are high off Mamdani and some of the great work he's been doing since assuming office. And now the Knicks winning. It's just historic. So the energy is contagious. The joy is attractive. And people are ready to meet people. They're ready to be caught up and wallow in the enjoyment of the Knicks win, but also in connecting with people once again.
Yeah.
And, obviously the city has known how to love. We talk about Woody Allen movies. We talk about romantic comedies. When Harry Met Sally. Woody Allen's a little problematic now, but we all have.
I was going to say.
Yeah, you can't really say him. People are like, hey, yo, listen,
That's like saying we go to Diddy parties.
Yeah, exactly. So, but When Harry Met Sally is another iconic movie that really dealt with love in the city. And there's so much to offer and talk about with this. So what he's just saying is, the city gave us an icebreaker. Use it. No more excuses of I don't know how to get out. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do that. We really have an opportunity right now to just build on this opportunity to meet people, to date, to reignite love. And who would ever thought a sporting event would do that? But what we're seeing, and there's a gentleman I follow on Instagram, I don't remember his but I'll find it. He's been saying that in 2060, the sports industry collectively will be worth $8.8 trillion, because as we continue to see the rise of AI and generative AI, and we're realizing now the curtain's being pulled back and we really don't even have generative AI, there is AI slop. And people are going to crave IRL, in real life experiences where people can connect, learn, experience human struggle, but also relish in human triumph. And what triumph can we relish in other than the New York Knicks taking 53 years to seize the day?
Yeah. It's
Oh,
also a great time of year. I
yeah.
mean,
What's the summer?
early
Yeah.
summer, it was a great time of year for people to be out, socializing, watching a game,
Hmm.
cheering, like you said,
Legs
sweating
is
on each
out.
other.
Yeah, buns is out.
Yeah.
Chest
Everybody's
is poking out.
toasting and yeah,
Muscles is glistening, sons.
sundresses,
Hmm.
which we love. Forget
Toe
about it. Forget
games.
about toe game is out. Yeah. It's just a
Thongs.
great time for year for people to get together,
Yeah,
to be
yeah.
socializing, to be going out. I mean, it's also a great time to be learning how to socialize or relearning how to socialize. If, I raise my hand the highest here because I was still reeling from the pandemic and isolating and becoming comfortable in isolation. So for me to be out for game 5 and, be around people and enjoying just random conversation with people and cheering and laughing and all of that, it was just a great atmosphere. So yeah, I'm agreeing with Nick. It's definitely a great time to get out and meet people and utilize that icebreaker of this New York City victory.
Yeah. And I think the story of the New Yorks is one of hope. Listen, take this Nick victory with like a diamond. There's many facets to it. People have talked about the immigrant story. They've talked about the story of New York. They've talked about the story of the New York Knicks. They've talked about the story of the coaching and the history of the players. They've
Mm.
talked about the evolution of the game. They've talked about Jalen Brunson. They've talked about the mental and emotional trauma the team members have experienced as individuals. OG losing his mom at 1 years old, his dad dying at 17, Carl Anthony Towns' mom dying during COVID. And they've talked about social emotional wellness. You could take, and also the last one I think for me is these are 5 Black men restoring hope in the moral order of our quote unquote universe through their self sacrifice and their genuine community and brotherhood that you can see just ooze right off of them anytime they're together in an interview or they're actually out making the rounds.
Minus OG Ananobi, he
But
looked
yeah.
flat on
Well, at the Good
GMA.
Day America, he was just like, he was gone.
Now he's always stoic, but that was a special kind of eyes is glazed, and I'm not making no
Yeah.
assumptions or starting no rumors.
Well, I've also learned a lot. People have social anxiety. It
Yeah.
comes at you fast, and people need help to sometimes get through. They probably told me, "Hey, look, the next 10 days, don't even expect to sleep. And
Yeah.
really don't mess up. Don't do anything publicly to jeopardize what you just built. Bask in the wave of opulent joy and celebration and adulation."
So some of them didn't get that memo. Mikal Bridges was up on IG for hours, bro. Just hammered, sloshed, and had diarrhea of the mouth, just going off. And then had a nerve to do an interview the next morning talking about, I've been taking shots since 9 a.m.
Yeah, I mean,
But
young dudes.
get it in.
Yeah, get it in. I get it in. I get it in.
I mean, you listen, it's been 53 years. We don't know if it's going to be another 53 after this. So take it in.
Yeah.
Take it in.
And I think the story that we want to lead with in the first point we're making about the Knicks win is there's always hope.
Yeah.
And this is going to be connected to some other points we make because hope comes with work. Everything comes with work. If you want to see something manifest, you can't just fantasize about it. You have to put action and hands to it. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. But I want to talk about now in our second point how this Knick win really has led to connections and dating. I mean, it's really been ripe for the taking, and you're seeing right now in real time people talking about, I've met somebody. So we're about to show this video from this creator where she talks about who she met and how she met him and the power of connection and community. So let me just cue this up real quick. Let's see here.
Knicks won the finals. We were dancing in the middle of the city with hundreds of strangers when one of them lifted me onto his shoulder so I could see over the crowd better. We started talking and found out that we were both born in the Midwest. My family moved to Seattle when I was 10, which is where he lives now, and we were even at Johns Hopkins at the same time. Before we parted ways, the other guy asked for my number. But because the night had been so chaotic, I went home thinking I'd never hear from either of them again. But the next morning, I got a text from him, except he wasn't the one I had all those crazy connections with. So I tried to find the other guy on the internet, and what I discovered completely shocked me, so stay tuned for the plot twist.
Yeah, I just thought that was a little cute story that was there. Someone who, as you guys saw in the video, for those who just want a quick recap, she was out celebrating the Knicks winning, bumped into this guy, put her up on her shoulder so she could see more because she's short. It turns out he's from the Midwest like her. She moved to Seattle when she was 10. He lives in Seattle, and they both were at Johns Hopkins University at the same time. just the randomness of finding somebody in the middle of a win where you're not necessarily at a John Hopkins alumni event or, hey, people of Seattle or people of Midwest, come to this viewing party. You just bump into someone at a random viewing party at a random time. The Knicks couldn't have won the night. You would have never met that person, but they did, and they won, and you met them. And here, boom, you're having this amazing opportunity for dating, connection, and community. And man, I'm just seeing that all over New York City. I saw women talking about dating in the playoffs that they've never seen men out so much, so many men just overflowing, busting through the seams, and then men who are happy. They have smiles on their face. They're crying, they're emoting, they're connecting. And I just think as much as we talk about the type of man that's going to attract a woman, the scent we use, the muscles, the body, the looks, the negging, the, power courses on pickup. And it just takes men being present outside and being themselves for women to be like, oh yeah, I'm attracted.
Yeah.
It wasn't
just the
about the
circumstance of being in
Lambo.
the same
Yeah.
location. Yeah.
It wasn't about the Porsche. It wasn't about the airstrip. It was about snap. There's availability here, and I want to be where there's availability.
They say that in sports, the best ability you can have is availability. So
why do they say that? Please say more.
It kind of applies to dating. Well, because, a lot of times if you're injured, you can't help the team. So if you're available and you can play, you can get on the court, you can get on the field, you can get on the diamond, you can get on the pitch. You know what I mean? You're available to do something. But if you don't have any availability, if every time, the team is playing and you're on the injured list or you're out, limited ability and availability. So, but yeah, I think the same thing applies to dating, just showing up, just being present, just being in the arena gives you an opportunity. And like you said, that should be hope for some people, because a lot of y'all have been sitting behind these screens and connecting with people and it hasn't been working for you. And maybe it is time to get back out for some of you. Maybe it is time to unplug, from these apps and, more of this electronic engagement that people are doing.
Yeah. I was just
Maybe
talking
it's time to get out again.
I was just talking to someone, my homegirl, Doreen, and was just saying, we were talking about dating. And one of the things I was saying is if I was single right now, I wouldn't be on the apps because my it factor which is connection and conversation, does not translate well to texting. I've always been a bad texter, even back in the days of AOL Messenger. I don't know how to move a conversation forward with a woman via texting. So I'm all about texting to get to the phone call or the FaceTime or the meetup. I'm not about texting for extended periods of days because there's some guys I know who are using dating apps and sleeping with women, consent, right? Through just texting alone. Hey, let's meet up. They just get right to the point. And within 48 hours, they backseated the Jeep swinging an episode.
Because it's very easy to do that.
Well, yeah, it's just not for me and not something I'm particularly interested in general. If you look back at my dating career, number one, and number two, I really just don't like texting that much. Now, I think that comes back from my elementary school days where it was hard for me to really express my intelligence and my thoughts through writing. I was a bad writer. And it stuck with me a lot through high school, through college. It was after college. Really wasn't into my 30s where I became a decent writer to become a great writer. It's because I worked at it. When I was younger, I didn't have a growth mindset. There was this understanding of, well, if you don't know the math and you're not good at math, and stick with history. And if you don't know the writing, don't work on it. Stick with the other things that you're good at. And public speaking is your thing. Do that, as opposed to that may not be your thing, but you got to reach a certain level of maturity and competence in order to navigate the world, because there are times you need to write, times you need to public speak, and times you need to do math, like when you're standing online paying for things at the grocery store. So you want to reach a certain level of proficiency. And so that just carried into AOL Messenger and AOL 3.0, which we had in the late 90s. And I just really couldn't seal the deal. I wasn't funny. People who know me, I know I'm a naturally gregarious person. I'm engaging. I listen well, and I can definitely get some great laughs in at any given moment. But people who write well can get the laughs in when they're, online. And for me, it's just like talking to a brick wall. You'd have more fun talking to a fishing pole. Not even that's in the water trying to catch a fish, just propped up against someone's garage wall. Like, okay, this fishing pole got more of a conversation than you do when you're writing in these types of apps. So I think going outside for some of us is where the magic happens. Some don't take good pictures, even though we're good looking or attractive, physically attractive. Some of us don't know what pictures to take. And so we're good looking, but our pictures don't communicate what they need to communicate to people who are making snap decisions, blink statements about their attractiveness. And then some of us are either too disinterested or getting too fast through the profile process to even create a profile that's attractive. So it all goes together. The profile, what you say about yourself in the written word, or in the word, and then also what your pictures are. And that's a lot of communication. That's why they have dating coaches now that just specialize in getting your online profile and your digital footprint up to code.
Yeah. I mean, it's an algorithm that definitely takes some consideration. Like you said, there's dating coaches that are helping people put those together. Cause like you said, man, I mean, it's a combination of pictures, like you said, knowing yourself, knowing how to talk through text or through typing, and then knowing what women want if you're a man, or what men want if you're a woman.
Well,
Because like, yo, listen, there are plenty of times, I'm pretty sure, when you've taken a picture, you thought it looked good, and somebody else was just like, it doesn't work for what I'm.
yeah, exactly.
And I mean, like you said, you could be attractive and good looking and all of that, but the photogenicity, I guess,
Yeah.
photogenetics,
Yeah. Being
you
photogenic.
just don't really have that, and it doesn't translate to what, like you said, somebody's looking for.
Yeah, no, je ne sais quoi there. And I also think maybe taking pictures in your Knicks jersey and Knicks gear works now. 5 months ago, that wasn't hitting. So they may want to see a blazer with an open white collar, stern white collar, stiff looking nights.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe
Yeah.
seeing you out, good lighting. People's lighting will be off. People's cameras be dirty.
Yeah.
You're not really, grainy. And it's just like, yo, dude, and it's like, well, I didn't go to school for photography. And I said, neither did I. But if you're going to do it here, you got to do it right.
Right. And there's
Kind of
no
like me with
excuse now
writing.
that the technology is out there for you to be able to.
The gussy up.
Yeah. It's there. It's out there for you. That's
For sure.
another thing with the apps. Is like, it almost, like you said, it shows a disinterest when you don't put thought
Yeah.
into something that's so easy,
It's almost
because
like, oh,
the
yeah.
technology's out there for you.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Speaking of which.
All right, clean it up.
Yeah, exactly. I just wanted I started getting like, I got self-conscious. I mean,
Make sure I'm straight.
yeah. Speaking of
Man.
which.
Yeah.
So this third point we're going to talk about and move to is about masculinity.
Wait, before we move
Yeah.
on, hope. This idea of hope, the Knicks showing us hope. I want to hear your thoughts on that, because I think initially when we talking about this, it felt like a stretch.
Mm-hmm.
But the more I heard you talking and I thought about it, I mean, if you could take anything away from this, where, you have a franchise who has not had a winning culture in a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
You had all types of odds against you because your opposing team's best player is 7'4". And in a game that is tailored to taller people, you would expect them to win. You weren't even the best team in your conference. They were like, I think, the third seed in the conference. It was like Detroit and Boston ahead of them. So it was like everything happened for them to win. The teams who were ahead of them got knocked out. The opposing team that they faced, they were coming off of strenuous circumstances where they just went back-to-back 7-game series, so they didn't get the same kind of rest. I mean, I'm saying all of this to say everything worked out in their favor. And so, listen, guys, if it can happen for the Knicks and that franchise, it can definitely happen for you. Do not give up hope. But yeah, I want to hear a little bit more, like, where you think, the hope is drawn from.
Well, I think there's a couple of things happening here. For the Knicks, I think it's also about dedication. One of the critiques Knicks fans have had for years is on James Dolan. The Knicks franchise has been the highest, most valued franchise for many years now. I think it's at $1 billion. And MSG is always packed.
Always, yeah.
So smaller markets like Golden State, San Francisco, Oklahoma, when they, Seattle Supersonics went there and became the OKC Thunder. They're competing with other big markets like college football. And you're not going to get butts in seats unless you have a riveting story and an even more powerful team to match that riveting story. And so your back office has to make investments. Same thing with the Chicago Bulls. Michael Jordan is nothing short of amazing, but the back office saw that where he needed help and assisted him. I think James Dolan's back office operations were never up to par with Knick fans' expectations.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then he turned over basketball operations to Leon Rose. And Leon Rose really...
Shout out to Mr. Rose.
Yeah, he really took it to another level. And so we're going to get into Leon Rose and that piece right there in the next piece about masculinity. But hope for me is important because there's so many people dying on the vines when it comes to dating and relationships. And me and you've talked about this, the outrage, dating, the outrage dating machine. There's always outrage. Certain pundits online are marketing to men and women when it comes to dating, and they're profiting off of it. But here's the thing. While they profit off of it and they're making money and sustaining themselves, what's happening to you when you're taking their advice? The richer they get, the lonelier you get.
Mm-hmm.
The rich, they get richer, you get lonelier.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you lose hope. Who benefits out of you losing hope?
They do. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so to be hopeful doesn't mean to be Pollyannish, meaning you just fantasize about what it could happen and voila, like I Dream of Jeannie, you put your arms together and, knock your head and all of a sudden you've manifested your perfect person, which by the way, there's no such thing as a perfect person, but that you have hope that with the work, WORK, or if you're hanging out with Rihanna, BERK, that you need to put in order to become a better person, become more connected to yourself and learn how to connect to others, you'll find a person who's learning how to work on themselves and learning how to connect to others. And boom, you guys will do what Orlando likes to do and make magic. Keep my basketball theme. And I think that's the hope.
Yeah.
That's the hope. Hope that you will continue to forge ahead, but you won't just forge ahead in your mind with what you think you deserve or your fantasy. Keep your fantasy there, but only indulge in the fantasy that is supported by work. If you want to marry someone rich, are you going to places where there's rich people? Or are you just staying at home waiting for someone to knock on your door and say, I had a vision, I had a sign. Someone was living in apartment 8C here in Murray Hill, here in Brownsville or Crown Heights, and come on, guys. But if you're putting on your best, doing your best, looking your best, working on your best to go to spaces where wealthy people convalesce or hang out, not convalesce, but hang out and congregate is the right word, excuse me. You're increasing your probabilities of meeting somebody who's wealthy, who's into you because you're interesting.
Yeah. Learning some rich people etiquette because there is that. They do have their own culture.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. And you could argue about who, don't marry a rich person, don't marry a bad person, don't marry, someone 50-50, someone who pays all the bills. Jamie and I stance on this when it comes to our story anchor and our brand anchor, which is togetherness, is this. You have built a relationship of mutuality, honesty, transparency, and trust. You figure it out together, and that is what makes you guys thrive.
Yeah.
So if you want to get with a rich guy and you're doing, or rich gal and you're doing the things you need to do, who are we to say you should and shouldn't do it? I don't know your life. I don't know your calling. I don't know what God has for you, for those who believe in God. And for those who don't, I don't know what your life has for you, what you want out of your life. That's your decision. We're allowing creators now to get involved with our interior life. How dare you and how dare us allow people into the most sacred space we have, which is our mind, to do whatever they want to do with it. And then when they're done with it, just like a rugged one night stand, say thanks for the frills or the thrills and walk out.
Yeah. Leave that tip on the nightstand and be
Yeah,
out.
exactly.
Yeah.
Would your man say Brewster Place? That's the problem with you worldly women. You always got something. Your man was talking to Jack A, but it's true. It's just you were all over me, but once you got what you got, now you're going to critique who I am. And we're allowing creators, people in the creator economy around dating to do this.
Yeah.
Chew up our minds and spit it out, and then we're left on the floor asking for more.
Mm-hmm.
Or wondering why we're on the floor again.
Yeah. They tell you to leave people alone and protect your heart. And meanwhile, they're with their person and you're at home alone. Yeah. Yeah.
And now, does that make sense in your equation? What we're advocating is that you find your path to getting to your person. We've talked about this. You deserve to be seen, which means everyone's humanity needs to be honored. Number two, everyone's story has value. Doesn't mean your story's true, but your story has value. 3, you're deserving of love. Those 3 together, you deserve to be seen. You deserve to be seen. Now, if you want something, then work for it. You're going to have to work on yourself. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's a beautiful place to be. You have the privilege and honor of working on yourself to achieve a dream you have, right? I'm going to say it again. Everyone's humanity deserves to be honored.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's entitled to human dignity. Your story has value. You have to figure out what your story is and what the value is in it. Doesn't mean it's true or false. It just means it has value, and you have to understand what that value is. 3, you deserve love. Every human being deserves love and is worthy of love. You have to figure it out for yourself. It's okay. You're going to fail. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to get caught in negative patterns where you keep engaging with the same type of people over and over again. That's why some of the critiques these creators have do make sense. I'm saying their solutions, their acerbic nature in which they attack or malign the opposite genders. Where's that getting us?
Absolutely nowhere. Yeah. They're more inclined to attack people than systems.
Exactly.
When it's really systems that have people in a bad way.
We've talked about it. We're living in the transactional age. No one asked to be in a space where they make $60,000 and rent is $5,000 a month.
And the expectation is to be able to provide for another human being. Again, nobody asked to be in those circumstances.
Most people would prefer to do it. And some people say, well, some people be controlling with the money. I see, this is what I'm saying. I can't get into someone's interior life and their ulterior motives. I'm just saying most people would prefer to be in a position where they can have so that they can do what they want to do.
I like that. They have so that they can do. Yeah. I like
So,
that.
yeah. So that's what I think of hope. Hold on to it. Cherish it. Let it be that small, dim light you hold in your heart on those cold winter nights of loneliness and confusion and anger. Sit by it and let it warm your heart.
And those nights do get cold.
And they do get brutal. So let's go to our last point here. I want to show a video. It's from Scott Galloway, Kara Swisher. And the opening is going to be really talking about masculinity from the perspective of dealing with the recent UFC 250 event that happened on the White House lawn. But he's going to make a transition to Jalen Brunson. And when he talks about Jalen Brunson, I want us to really highlight the story of how Leon Rose approached Jalen Brunson and the decision he had to make. And we all know what the end result of that decision is and was. So let's just watch this right here.
Democrats can't come up with some sort of symbolism or role models that demonstrate strength and service as masculinity, then the Republicans sort of fill that hole with violence and misogyny, which is exactly what they're doing. Unfortunately, it not only highlights this performative, weird, dominant, misogynistic form of masculinity that is just, in my opinion, absolutely the terrible role model for young men. It highlights to me that Democrats haven't been able to identify anything around an aspirational viewpoint around masculinity.
I'm going to push back. Trump is down 10% among young men over the past few months.
It's not because of this event.
No, I'm just saying, it's just, I think this version of masculinity, you know what a better version? We're the Knicks.
Yep, agreed.
The main guy, Brunson, he gave up a big pile of money to have other people on the team, including Karl Anthony Towns. The difference of the watch parties was really rather significant.
Agreed. Yeah, I agree.
And so if you want a version of masculinity, that's a version of masculinity that is very sporty, very masculine. It did a lot to heal the male loneliness epidemic. Have you seen people out in the street like that? Men out in the street like that?
Absolutely love it.
Powerful. So for those who don't know, Jalen Brunson gets signed to the New York Knicks a couple of years ago and is criticized. He's too small. He's too short. What are the Knicks doing? It's a bad trade. And he signs for about $47 million. And Leon Rose approached him and said, listen, we could give you more, but we want to build a team. We want to make a run at building a championship team. Jalen Brunson said, no problem, but here are the people I want you to get. And obviously brought in Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart, people he played with. And now we know the end result. What's the end result? Let's talk about it. Well, let's talk about the process first. The process was you had a man who was skilled and underrated and questioned, who decides to sacrifice and put his team and his community first to get a larger goal or to achieve a vision. Well, now he's achieved that vision. And let's talk about the results. Number one, I think he's about to get $400 million. So he turned down 100 for $400 million, a larger, more profitable outcome. Jalen Brunson is going to go down as one of the best Knicks in history. He's probably going to go down as one of the top 50 players in the NBA. His last performance of 45 points stunned and wowed every single person who was watching it, not only in America, but across the world. Him and his wife, Ali, are going to be, I think, vaulted forward into one of the more interesting power couples to watch in the near future, up there with the Obamas and up there with others who are watched as far as, neighborhood lovely couples such as Steph and his wife, Aisha, all because he chose to sacrifice for the larger picture and for his community and put his team and his community first. And this is the type of masculinity I believe Kara Swisher's highlighting and that Scott Galloway's highlighting, that men operate at their best when they are laying down their own interests and putting their self aside for the larger picture, for the larger vision. The father who sees, like Josh Hart's father, that his son has a go at basketball, and even though the mom's a waitress with a bum knee and needs a knee replacement, she's in pain, and he decides to work 12 hours a day, come home at 8 o'clock at night, drive into the basketball court, turn the car lights on the basketball court, and let his son play for 2 to 3 hours so that he can get better at basketball. That when their house catches on fire and they have to be squeezed into a 2-bedroom apartment among the 7 of them, he keeps trucking along. Or that when he sends them to one of the Sidwell, one of the best schools in D.C., he allows another family to keep them in the house. By the way, that man whose house he was staying in, his son and Josh Hart have business partners now. But that father said, you can't move on with basketball unless you get your grades up and you complete Eagle Scout, because he taught him you finish what you start. Because it's not about the $400 million. Some men will be $400 million. Some men will be birthing families. Some men will be, bringing parents from another country here so they can take care and get health care and live a better life. Everyone's $400 million payoff is going to look different, and some people's payoffs will be $400 million. Some will be celebrated around family and friends. Some will be celebrated in obituaries and around hushed murmurs around funerals that become, myths after they die. Grandpa did this and grandpa did that. Uncle so-and-so did this for me. Uncle so-and-so did that for me. Others will get celebratory parades where their whole city, the whole world will turn out to cheer your name. Everyone will get their day of celebration. Some will be small, some will be big, but the process is still the same. You have a vision. You work towards that vision. You remain selfless in that vision, making sure that you have the right people around you and you're putting your community first in order to achieve that vision. You commit to that vision and then you execute on that vision, working with your community and working with others to achieve that vision, and realizing that by putting others first, even as you've devised a plan, and you're executing on the plan to get to the full maturation of what you envisioned, you're recognizing other people's needs and making room for other people to shine and excel in order to not only help you, but to help them, and we all go up together. As the old adage says, a rising tide lifts all boats. Now everybody's up because I'm up, and I'm up because everybody's up. This is the masculinity. Not only women are clamoring from men are clamoring from other men.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to say that because everything now is a pause, because we don't want to seem like we're attracted to other men. But men are attracted to other men, not sexually or in a romantic way, but in a way that they're starving for role models. And for some of us who missed out on the opportunities to be raised by fathers, or fathers were killed or died or weren't around, this is what young men are calling for. They're looking for the dad who's going to show up after 12 hours of work and eating shit, drive you to the basketball court, turn the lights on the court, and let you shoot for another 2 to 3 hours.
Yeah. They look, like you said, they're hungry and thirsty for those examples of masculinity and
Yes.
manhood. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what they're attracted to.
Yeah. The fathers who are sacrificing, the fathers who are showing up, the coaches who are adopting players and teaching them how to grow up because they didn't have fathers in their life.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The men who are mentoring on life, not just sports or girls, or, you know what I mean? They're mentoring men on
Yeah.
life. Hey, let
They're
me
not
put
just-
you in touch with such and
Yep.
such who can help you
Yeah.
start you out with your finances, giving people open doors and pathways to learn new things. Yeah, that's what they're clamoring
Yeah.
for.
And the Knicks show us a new version of masculinity. Like I said, a diamond has many facets, and I said this to you offline. I've heard a lot of narratives. One, like I mentioned, the narrative I mentioned earlier, social emotional wellness in men dealing with grief and tragedy without, fatherless homes and rebounding and coming back. The story of immigrants. You have a Jamaican, you have a Nigerian, you have a Dominican, you have a Puerto Rican, you have a Filipino. And yes, they're all Black, who are moving forward and taking the city forward in an age where we have seen an administration put children in cages, immigrants detained, people dying mysteriously in horrible deaths in isolation in warehouses where they're kept. In an age where we're seeing the rollback of all of the gains we've made with civil rights in the 60s and 70s and 80s, we see 5 Black men emerge from a multicultural context, a pluralistic context, to show us what it's like to be good men who work together, build together, joke together, laugh together, cry together. They show you the full array of human and male emotion and still go out and get the job done and make their city, and I would say the world, proud, because they're not pushing a narrative of who's dominant. They're pushing a narrative of who got the job done well.
Yeah.
Because you can still win and not be on a framework of domination. You could be on a framework of, I get shit done. I'm excellent, and excellence gravitates to me, and I use excellence to bring us all up, and we get it done.
Yeah, we get it done. It's a team effort on every level, at every turn.
And-
I saw
yeah.
this quote last week that said, I don't remember who it was from, but it was like, one of the best ways to find your happiness is to lose yourself in other people's problems.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, to what you're saying, Jalen Brunson executed that example.
Yes.
This whole team really executed
Yes,
that
they did, the
example.
whole team.
The coach executed that example. I mean, he was coming from, filling the shoes of a coach who had a very different culture than he did.
Mhm.
The previous coach was known for overplaying players in the playoffs. But I mean, that's the time when you're supposed to play your best players. But, the rhetoric about him was that he overplayed his players. He forced them to play a brand of defense that wasn't necessarily conducive to a good offensive game. So, you have this coach come in and overhaul a system that I think a lot of people liked that the Knicks had. They felt like it was more gritty and all of that. And I mean, Mike Brown made them a more, I mean, they still played gritty defense, but he made them a finesse, offensive, fluid team with a whole lot of pick and roll actions and flashing to different parts of the court and driving kicks. I mean, like, they really had an elite layered kind of offense that he brought in. But I mean, he lost himself in the problems of others, giving more people minutes. I think beforehand, the last coach only played like like 7 or 8 players. He was going deep in his bench, the new coach. So it's like, he was really giving all these other different people more minutes. I mean, he lost himself in what people were saying about him. He forgot all about that and he just forged ahead with the plan that he had. And it was really about creating a team dynamic that everybody could get behind. And like you said, you look at the result. What can you say? It worked in the end.
It worked. It totally did work. And this is, when we bring it back to dating now, this is the masculinity people are looking for. I'm not saying people don't mean what they say when they want somebody with this and 6 figures and 666. All that's interesting. Some of the rhetoric I think is just rhetoric to people and they really just want to feel cared for and be taken care of. Some people actually do want those data points, those check boxes checked. But I think ultimately we're all looking for men to operate in this way, to A, create a plan, B, commit to the plan, C, execute on the plan and see the vision through
Consistently.
And to do it with an excellence, to do it with dedication, to do it with duty to be the best, but also to do it in a way that honors others, and whether it's your family unit or others in your community as well. One hand washes the other and both hands wash the face.
Yeah.
So you have something really quickly? Yeah, go ahead, please.
As I'm listening to you talk, some of what you're saying is impacting me. And I just want to say this to other guys who might be listening. I know sometimes that it may feel overwhelming, that the expectation is always for you to step up. The expectation is perpetually for you to sacrifice. The expectation is perpetually for you to have the plan, to execute, to have integrity. And a lot of that sometimes does sound overwhelming, but understand that that's part of masculinity. That's part of the maturity in manhood, that even if others don't expect for you, you should be putting that on yourself aspirationally to want to be that kind of man, because that is the kind of man that is going to lay down his life for his family and for the others who are important to him. If you're selfish, if it's all about you and, your individual interests trump everything else and everyone else, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's ever going to be a box that you check. It's very hard to have integrity when you're selfish. It's very hard to have integrity when you're not thinking about other people, when you can't see past your own nose. The only happiness that matters is yours. So yeah, guys, I just want to, give you some encouragement. I know it sounds kind of overwhelming sometimes, but if you have good people, good guys around you, it is achievable. So yeah.
Yeah. And I want to say this. Jay has said something to me before about some men. And this applies to people in general, but since we're talking about men, I'm going to keep it on men. There's some men out there that think a situation is good, a relationship's good, a parent relationship is good, meaning them as a parent to their child, because they're good, not because the situation, the relationship, or the parental relationship is good. It's good because they're good. And this is the classic scenario of, I got mine, get yours. I got off, then you should get off. If I enjoyed myself, then it was enjoyable. If I got paid, then everything was right with the situation. Me. And what I'm saying about masculinity is, you could be strong, you could be powerful, you could be a John Bone Jones, you could be like some of the gladiators, quote unquote, seen in the cage on the White House lawn on Sunday, and you can be as sharp and as athletic as some of the warriors we saw on the court over the last few weeks in the NBA. I'm saying you can be all those things and still be a man who serves others.
But it takes the service.
Yeah, that leads with service. And I know we don't see a lot of those examples. I think service now has been used to malign men, show that men aren't good, that once you're service oriented, sometimes your quality or your commitment to excellence actually wanes or goes down because you're too interested in others. And I'm going to tell you, that's not the case.
Flat out lie.
Yeah, those who excellence dips is because their excellence dips. Now, some people may make a choice between service and excellence. That's a personal choice that particular athlete, person, or father or figure makes. I'm saying you don't have to take a dip. There's ways you can figure it out for yourself because there's a ton of men who have figured it out before you and before us. And they'll figure it out after us. Don't allow the rhetoric of commitment seduce you into a position that if I'm selfish, then that's the only way I can get ahead. That my posture on about me always has to be about me. And that the only way I'm going to thrive is if I'm getting off consistently.
First. Yeah. As long as I'm getting
And
mine
middle
first.
and last.
Yeah.
They'll make the whole story about themselves from cover to cover.
Mm.
And I'm
Footnotes
telling
and
you,
everything.
yeah, about the author, the joint with this.
Right. 4 words written by.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Prologue,
Yeah. Prologue written by. Yeah, all of
workbook,
that. Everything.
textbook. I'm
Everything.
telling you guys, service-oriented heart helps you elevate and become stronger. When you watch the show Baki on Netflix, and Jay can speak to this because he's a big Baki fan, one of the things that starts to emerge when you see these incredibly strong, ripped martial arts fighters, bodies looking like African gods and martial arts skills that also seem like they come from the gods. One of the things that continues to emerge as a theme is what makes you a great fighter is who you're fighting for. Who do you love? Who do you love? So that you're fighting in your martial arts prowess and proficiency as it deepens, it gets more mature and more rich, is never about you alone. There's a you in there. We're not denying that, but it's never about you and you alone. It's about who do you love and who do you desire to protect? What do your achievements do for people around you, for the community who surround you or support you, or for those who don't have a community, the community you want to create? I'm telling you guys, this is the key to greatness.
Service, service, service.
This is the key to greatness.
Mm-hmm.
And on that note, thank you guys for listening. This has been another episode of Save the Date. I'm one of your hosts, Heath.
I'm Jamie, y'all.
Until next time,
Peace.
take care.